Hi everyone, it's Diane from Boho Stamper. Welcome. So it's official. Celebration has started. And I can also show you the inside now of the new mini catalog. And you can order now since this is after July 1st. And happy 4th of July if you're watching on Monday. I'm actually recording this on Sunday so that we can spend our 4th of July just as a family together, and I don't have to worry about getting this done. Today I am going to use the Hello Harvest bundle, and believe it or not, out of this whole bundle, the only things that I'm really using are one stamp, until we go to do our greetings anyway, because I don't have those done, and the designer series paper, as well as the basic black paper. Remember, all of these items can be purchased individually or as a whole suite. There we are. I did take advantage of my embossing tray that comes with this suite. We're going to use, well, I don't know for sure which papers we're going to use. I have some different ones already cut and ready to go. You can get your embossing buddy again, and that is the anesthetic powder bag that you can put over top of your paper before you emboss, and it helps to keep your embossing powder sticking only to where you want it to stick. So off camera, I guess we should take a look at this first. I don't have my July host code yet, so once I have that, I'll add that to my web page along with what my thank you gifts will be for July. Let's see, I think we have Happiest Hippos. Did I get the, I don't, maybe I didn't. We did get, because we've already played with, and these are all items that you can get for free. Oh yeah, I did use the Tree Lot dies on my design team card this month. Here we go. Wonderful World. Wonderful World is already being one of my favorite sets. And this is free with a $100 purchase because you get a stamp set and the coordinating paper. Friday's video that I did, we used this and did some watercoloring. And little did I know that July is watercolor month. So, hey, because we're going to do a little bit of that today too. So if you need either of these catalogs or the annual catalog, make sure you give me a holler right here, and I will get that out to you. I marked in here a couple more things that we're using today. We used brushed metallic cardstock. We did use the stitched Greenery Die, and it's shown in the dies on page 174. But this doesn't die cut out anything. This sort of, it embosses, what was the word I was going to use? Almost like needle punches into the paper. And so on the metallic paper, it's just gorgeous. What else did I mark that we used? Oh, we used we are using embossing powder, and I did my heat embossing off camera, so we don't have to worry about the heat gun and turning the volume off and shaking the table and all that. I tried to get some of this stuff done ahead of time. I am using the copper, gold, and silver copper, which is my absolute favorite embossing powder ever. I love copper. And I did use the white. Yep, white. And I may use some of those when I go to make my sentiments. But these cards that we're working on today are really very versatile. You can use them for pretty much any occasion, especially since we're only using that one stamp. And so this is the Hello Harvest stamp set and coordinating Hello Harvest Rustic Pumpkin dies. And out of this set, I'm using one leaf. I used that stamp with my Versamark ink and with either of the two powders, white or copper, and I stamped a couple of different patterns. This one I did on early espresso with the copper powder, and I just did a falling leaf design. I liked it a lot, so I did that on some of the basic black. This is just a piece that I had left over out of the 12 by 12 sheets. It's also done in copper. This one is just white powder on thick basic white cardstock, and that was another reason I did this off camera, because stamping that clear embossing powder on any of the cardstock is easier to see if I can shine the light right down on it, and that kind of messes with the camera. I don't think you can see it yet. Oh, there, maybe a little bit, but we're going to work on that one first, as well as this one first. So I did two white on white, and we're going to paint. This one was just all over pattern with copper on black, all over pattern with copper on early espresso. And we're going to put some of these together here. Oh, and then I had taken out, I cut a piece of this designer series paper. I thought maybe I would put the black on it, but when I laid this on top of the black cardstock, I didn't want to cover it up. So we have to find something to do with that. So we'll get started. Oh, I cut a couple, or I had a couple pieces of the scrap left, so I put those through the Stitch Greenery Die also. I have a couple of just spare parts here in case we need spare parts, like hubby working out on his cars, right? Of course, we'll probably use brushed metallic dots. Oh, pardon me. It's getting a little warm up here, so I think I'm starting to get a little bit droopy. So let's take first our two white, and these were all basic size panels. My designer series paper that I'm planning on using is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. For each one of those, they are layered onto half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I'll go through the colors when we get to them. And then these were 4 by 5 1/4, which really doesn't matter too much because we may trim that down. I thought since we're using our autumn colors, may as well stick to early espresso, crushed curry, and Cajun Craze. Same colors we used last week, actually. I can't even remember what I did last week. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Those were class cards. So I thought, how do I want to do this? I don't really want to get my paper soaking wet. I have a water brush, an aqua brush. And these little brushes, you fill the tube up with water, and then as you squeeze the tube, water comes down through the brush. It will. I don't know. There it goes. I don't want to drip water all over the place. I don't know if you can see that it's getting my hand all wet. So the more water you squeeze, obviously, the wetter you're going to make your paper. I don't really like to put the wet brush right on my ink pad, and so I'm going to squeeze some of the ink into the lid. Use a little bit of our I just am not sure this is what I want to do. I have a picture in my head and I just don't know how to get there. Ooh, I did get a little wet there. Squeezed a little water. And this was one reason I was using the thick, basic white cardstock, because I knew I was going to add water. And I wanted it to be not real specific. I want it to be very loose. I kind of wanted to get a little bit more color in those leaves. That embossing is going to resist our ink. That's a little better. I wanted it to be a little darker than what it was being. I don't know if I'll like it or not. We'll see. Then we'll do a little bit of that with the Cajun Craze and Early Espresso. That doesn't sound like it's snapped shut. And in between each color, I'll squeeze some of that water. There we go. Get that off my brush. Blend this in to my crushed curry. This is pretending like you're really watercoloring. Well, we're not. I mean, we kind of are, I guess. It's very easy to use your inks as watercolor just by adding that little bit into the lid of your stamp pad. And then that makes it very, very handy. It must be the wind. But somebody was opening the door here. To coordinate all your colors with your paper, your designer series paper, your ink, everything matches up. Perfect. And I don't want to get too much brown on here, so let me add a little more orange, and then we'll get some Early Espresso on here. Clean out my brush. We're going to do the next one, but we're going to use blending brushes. Oops, I don't have that one. And we'll get through as many of these as we can without making the video too long. I'm thinking a couple of them are pretty much, now that the heat embossing is done on those. And if you're not used to heat embossing or you're not familiar with that, please feel free to check back on some of my other videos where our cards have heat embossing. And have a little more detail probably. But I didn't really want the video today to be about the embossing. I wanted it to be about some of the designs that we're going to use with the embossed panels. So, hope you're all doing good. What are you doing for the 4th here? I hope you're having some hot dogs and hamburgers. Or some veggie burgers, if you don't eat meat. You know, when my oldest is here, we have to look for the Beyond Meat type burgers for him, which is really weird because they're not always that easy to find. And I think that's a little weird because a lot of people don't eat meat. Not bad, I'm okay with that. I can set this one aside to dry and we'll do some blending brushes on the other one. Yeah, so, although he's not feeling well, so he won't be here for the 4th. I think, unfortunately, he has the bad thing. And so, he'll be staying at home all by his little lonesome. Okay, orange. Hello? Oh, you're purple, not brown. I always forget if my little one is the brown. I think it is. Where's my scrap paper? My scrappy dappy. Well, this isn't really scrap paper, but I guess I could remind you that if you're interested in our card making workshop and you're local, Brown? Yep, that's brown. You're welcome to join us. Our next workshop is July 19th. Ooh, I gotta get making some cards here because we're gonna do Christmas in July. Yeah, we're gonna use a couple of the new products out of that, the new mini holiday catalog, and do some Christmas cards. So I'm inking up my blending brush really well, starting off the edge and working my way onto my cardstock. Let's do a little Cajun Craze here. I love blending brushes. They're so pretty. Right there. Can blend it right over top of the crushed curry. Whoops. Blends in really well. Here we are, 4th of July, and I'm making autumn cards, but I do want to feature some of these new sets because, you know, holidays get here before we know it, and then we're always saying, oh, I wish I'd have started this earlier. Well, here we are. We're starting. Then I'm using a little bit of the early espresso, and I'm just getting some of that into my edges, blending it up into my, forgot the name of it. What is that? Cajun Craze. Yeah, there you go. Cajun Craze. I should remember that because I love that. Okay, blend a little bit more of my yellow down here. There you are, Cajun Craze. A little more, I want a little darker yellow. You can keep adding color. Make it as intense as you want or as light as you want. It's also pretty when you start getting like Mary Merlot or Rich Razzleberry into your colors also. Don't worry if you have some little brush marks in there. As the ink saturates into the paper, those kind of disappear like magic. Okay, so there's our 3 colors that we were using. And I can put the brushes away. And there we have some ink over top of our white heat embossed panels. Once they're dry, I like to just take a little cloth, go over my embossing, and I'll take off any of that residual ink, and it makes my little leaf stand out again. Cool beans. Okay, so we have 1 card for that, 1 card for this. Okay, and let's see what else we're going to do here. Now, I almost think that this one on the early espresso looks beautiful just with our brushed metallic copper background, but I think I'm going to trim this down a little bit, show a little bit more of that background. So let's do 3 3/4 by 5. That'll be pretty. And then just as another little tip, we're going to be hiding all of that foil paper in the background, and I think I have a little glue spot or something on there. We could be using that because you only get a few sheets of that specialty paper. So let's take any kind of a frame, rectangle, square, whatever you might have. Actually, we might do something with this too. Now let's cut the middle out of here. That's going to give us this extra piece of copper foil paper to use in addition to the background. Oh, I guess I do have to shake you up a little here. I was trying not to do that again. Now when we layer this on here, ooh, I even got a little frame out of that. Ooh. No one's ever going to know that we did that. And we can adhere this right to the front of our card and still have a copper mat. I also ended up with a copper frame and a copper rectangle. So let's get this on here. I don't like how it left because my embossing plates are very well loved. It left little ridges in my foil paper. So let's just emboss that. I have to grab an embossing folder here, and I don't really know what all I have that is in the current catalog. So I apologize if this is one that's not available, because we're just going to grab whatever's handy. This is Time Worn Type. This is just out of the catalog that just retired, so you might have this. I don't know if it's still available. I think it was, what did that go with? That went with the Quiet Meadow Suite, I believe. So I'm just going to put that foil through an embossing folder, putting the folded part of my folder through my cut and emboss machine first so that I don't put any stress on my folder and break it. Switch these back around. Yeah, so there's a plus and a minus to cutting out those centers. You get an extra piece, but it also could make marks on your foil. But we fixed that. Ooh, cool. All right, let's get this on here. I don't think I am going to put my greetings on these cards today. That's why I have so many ready. Double check because this kind of does have an upside to the font. Oh, this way. I had it right the first time. I know I have several. Well, I don't really want to use all my fall cards for birthdays in July. I have a lot of July birthdays coming up here. I'm also going to add a little bit of liquid glue because I embossed that. Because now I've added texture to that copper foil paper in the background. You can also pop it up with dimensions, but I might do that when I go to add my greetings. So, and then all we have to do is die cut a greeting, add that, and a few of the metallic dots, and that would be one card already finished. Gorgeous. I love the copper. This one, same thing. Let's just add 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 of Designer Series paper. This is the one that I said when I went to put it on my black card base, the picture was too pretty, but I accidentally flipped it over and I thought, that'd be nice. Yeah, we could do, let's see, do we have black ribbon? We have copper ribbon. I think we did have copper ribbon. I don't know that I have copper ribbon. Oh, I do. I do have some old copper left. How lucky am I? Or, you know what? Ooh, where's that little scrap? Right here. Look at this. And this is out of, what is this? These are the Fabulous Frames. That's the one that we just used to cut the little frame out of the center of our copper. And I forgot, guess what it does? It makes corners. A couple of these put together because the pups are going to be wanting their lunch pretty quick here. I'm not going to be happy that I was up playing with cards today. Oh, well, what can we say? You know. This is going to be cute. Yes, it is. Oh, let's do fine tip on this. Huh. So do I want to put these here or, yep, I think even scoot over for a little bit card base, a little bit, about a minute or in a little bit. Just add those cute little copper corners. Oh, yeah. So many things you can do with all the little embellishments. Remember to be careful with your glue on the foil paper because it is going to leave, it'll leave little dull marks on your copper. Or if you choose to use gold, you could use all with gold foil too. Pretty, or the silver. I think for me, silver I like more on my Christmas stuff. I don't know why, I just love the copper. In the autumn. Now maybe we will pop this one up. Oh, let's just use a few dimensionals here. Since we have those corners on there now. So really your focal point on any of these cards is that embossed leaf, one little leaf. And look at how much we can do with that. I think our other one with the watercolor is probably dry enough to glue together too. And the hard part of today's card, getting the release papers off of the dimensionals. I think when I first started making my own cards, one of the first things I did were Christmas cards, and I heat embossed every one of them. I just enjoyed the heat embossing so much. That one. Remember, these are just our basic backgrounds that we'll add our sentiment to. Maybe I'll add a bow on that one. Is that going to be overkill with the copper? Am I over coppering? Never too much. Oh, you know what? I think I have a bunch of these little bows made up from a class that we had, and I didn't use all the bows, but do I know where they're at right now? No. As I'm tying this, I'm thinking I have probably a bunch of these sitting around somewhere. Ribbon snips. This copper ribbon kind of has a little, I don't know, it almost feels like it has a little bit of metallic in it or something. It's a little stiffer, so you can almost shape it. And I think I'm just going to lay that with there because with this card, because when I add my greeting, I'm going to put the bow on there. Yep. So that's what we're doing with that one. How about it? Today we are prepping cards. And this one is black on the copper background. And I think I'm going to trim this down a little bit also so that I can see some more of that detailed embossing back there. So I have this one cut at 3 3/4 by 5. So if I do 3, and 4 3/4, does that, oh, that might be pretty right there. Yep. I can glue this onto my card base. I don't know what's with the mass production lately. I think I did that Friday too with my watercolors. I just made a bunch of cards. And I'm not going to be dog sitting this week, so my intention will be to do all of the inserts for a bunch of cards that I have ready to go. Oh, that'll be pretty. Nice and simple. This would actually be a nice sympathy card. I'm going to do that flat. I think I do. I don't think I want to pop that one up. This would be very pretty as a sympathy. All right, so this one now, do I want to put it on that side or this side? Better or worse? Better or worse? I think we're going to have to go with this side. And I'm not being happy that this looks much blacker than I have early Espresso. I might swap that piece out. Let's do this one. That one's ready. And this one's a little bit, ooh, that almost did the other side. This one's just being more of our traditional card. Now, just with some designer series paper. This is, I'm going to say 4 by 5 1/4. This one needs to get cut down a little bit. So we will make this one 3 3/4 by 5. Let's see if that's enough of a border. Find it. I think I like the darker part on the top more. Yep, I like that. I'm good. Didn't even, oh, I just used the rest of my tape again. Always on camera, always. Yep, it's not the red. It's all done, gone, bye-bye. Let's get out my Amazon tape and use that. Ooh, look at that. And then we can put our greeting right across the front. And that was just a scrap. I can tell you how big that is. Here's my little thing up here. Oh, I have it on the metric side. My grid paper. This was just 2 3/4 by 3 7/8. Yep, 3 7/8. And we're just going to pop that up on the center of our embossed panel. And when I'm ready to add my greeting, I will cut a little die cut shaped label and add that to the center. As I'm sitting here looking at the one on the black card base that I said would be a good sympathy card, I'm thinking I need to add some of those brushed metallic dots to it. This one. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, did I get that off? Yep, like that. Okay. This one's ready for sentiment strip. Oh, this one we needed a background. This just needs adhered to the back card base. Boy, this video is just like all over the place, isn't it? I guess what I'm trying to show today is that with this Harvest Suite, look at all the options you have, how different we can make so many cards. Look at that. That doesn't really even need anything else. Nothing. And that was just a piece of designer series paper. And I'll add a greeting. Now this one. Might do that one like we did the black one. So let's make this 3 3/4 by 5. leaves a lot of room then to add our little, oh yeah, pretty, our little, whatever message we want to add. This one's a little tricky. I never know whether I want to add extra glue because of all the dimension in it, or be really careful and go thin with the glue because it's got a bunch of little holes. Although it doesn't usually feel sticky when I'm done, so I don't think that the glue is seeping through the holes. Again, I think I'm going to go flat. Yeah, so take it, oh, that didn't stick very good. So take a few minutes and maybe, if you don't want to heat emboss, oh, you know what? I want to do this upside down. My leaves look like they're falling better this way. If you don't want to heat emboss, just use your inks. You know, get some pretty ink out, and like we used our Cajun Craze and crushed curry and early espresso. And instead of heat embossing, maybe just stamp some falling leaves. Still gonna be gorgeous. I have to say the brushed metallic paper, I think it really sets it off. Just right there. And then I can add my greeting to that one. Can always add more later. And I need a background paper for this. So just by having all of those embossed panels ready to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How did I end up with an odd number of cards in a very short time? I just need something behind that one. What do we want to use? So here's our designer series paper. I think that's too busy. Again, that looks too black instead of, well, maybe not. I think I did that once before on our card last week. I used that with the early espresso. And what do I have out handy? We have, oh goodness, ooh, what's in here? This was the Hearts and Home paper. Let's see if we can't find something in there that this might be pretty on. I don't know if I want the bees. Nothing's tickling my fancy. And it's not because I don't have paper. Lord knows there's paper. Well, I'll work on that one. How's that? I'll work on that one and I'll post a picture when I figure out what it is I want back there. Maybe I'll add a couple of, maybe I'll add a couple greetings on some of these and then take my photo for the video here so that it gives you a little bit better idea of where to add your label die cuts. So go play with your cards. Go play with some stamps and ink and paper and maybe some embossing powder, copper embossing powder, copper paper, It's a coppery kind of day. And enjoy your holiday with everyone. I will see you all again next week. Thanks for being here with me. Bye.